The James Chambers Show contains adult language. Welcome to The James Chambers Show. I'm your host for this podcast, James Chambers. Before we dig in, I want to start this show by offering a heartfelt thank you. Thank you all so much for listening to or downloading this podcast. The James Chambers Show and all of the time, money, and research surrounding it have been and continue to be a labor of love. There is no sponsorship and no official affiliations. I'm lucky enough to have friends and family members who are willing to offer up their time and talent. And I hope this show will offer some new ideas, maybe make you a little uncomfortable, perhaps deepen your convictions, and maybe even change some of them. The JC Show is here to educate, agitate, and aggravate, and have some fun in the process. And again, thank you for taking the time to listen. If you like the show, please share it with others. Your likes and shares are the only way programs like this one get off the ground. And as always, please share your thoughts and comments with the crew here by commenting on this channel or the email address listed at the end of the show. The James Chambers Show came about as a way for me, and later my friends and I, to achieve some level of catharsis in these troubling times. Living in a majority red state leaves me feeling like a single blue dot swimming in a sea filled with baying Second Amendment absolutists and vigilant anti-abortionists and homophobes and lots of indignant white people who aggressively point out that the blacks would be better off to just do what the officer tells you and to quit being thugs. And some, I assume, in the words of our president, are good people. Don't misunderstand. There are lots of very good people, but even very good people can have very bad ideas. And besides, racism is over. We had a black president. White privilege doesn't exist because my family was poor too, and affirmative action is reverse racism, and on and on and on. And nowadays, it seems white people face more discrimination than colored people. Do I need to go on? I have found myself repeatedly in conversations, and not to mention overt arguments, that have led flatly nowhere. Now, feelings of sadness and resentment and more than a little disappointment can leave one believing that they're screaming into the void and hearing only distorted echoes in reply. Those echoes call you libtard and snowflake and sometimes cuck, and the favored pejorative of hardened far-right activists and the alt-right, social justice warrior. As though somehow seeking justice for systemic mistreatment of fellow Americans is a bad thing. Being awash in the gleeful ignorance of others, I began to lose my sense of hope. My compassion for and tolerance of opposing ideas eroded to a low point I had not felt before. And when disgust seeps into the psychic cracks once filled with the mortar of broad-minded patience, well, you either step back and reevaluate your ideas, or you become another blabbering ass like those you claim to despise. And I'm looking at you, Sean Hannity, Rush Limbaugh, Michael Savage, Bill O'Reilly, Glenn Beck, Alex Jones, Fox News et al., and Gary Nolan, a regional source of irritation and disinformation, and many, many others. I got fed up. I needed a way to make a difference. I wanted to create a platform to engage in open, blunt conversations with people of like mind and with those I disagree. The James Chambers Show is my way of creating that space and making a difference if at all possible. I afford you no pretense in my positions. I'm a devoted progressive. I wholeheartedly believe in labor unions. I believe in public schools, low-cost, publicly funded community colleges and trade schools. I believe in higher wages. I believe in high taxes on corporations and the rich and robust middle-out economics. We here at the James Chambers Show understand that the middle class is necessary, and a vibrant middle class is not a function of raw capitalism. We acknowledge that the economy is an ecosystem, not some sieve through which wealth trickles down onto the masses. Voodoo economics is an abysmal failure, and the wealthy are not the magical creatures known as job creators. We stand for fair wages and worker empowerment, not oppression, and we flatly reject that corporations are people. We believe that healthcare is a right, not a privilege for those who can afford it. America can and should join the rest of the world in advancing universal healthcare. The James Chambers Show will push back hard on the claim that liberalism is a mental disorder, and yes, that's a real slogan, and that progressives are trying to destroy the country. Yep, that's really said too. We reject the new Red Scare, that progressives are attempting a communist takeover of the U.S. We reject that socialism, National Socialism, democratic socialism, communism, progressivism are, despite all the history and evidence, somehow the same thing. We believe in community over isolation, shared commitment to the common good, not fear and division. We believe that public service and protest and dissent are all among the highest order of patriotism. We wholeheartedly believe in free speech, even at the cost of allowing hateful, bigoted rhetoric to be exclaimed. Free speech requires a level of discomfort and should never be artificially stifled. We will not hesitate to commend a person for their well-framed, well-argued ideas, even if we vehemently disagree. We will also not hesitate to tell ingrates, "Go fuck yourself." Fair? Good. It's time to reframe the conversations that have been taken hostage by corporate and right-wing interests. We crazy lefties don't want gun control, certainly not the way the NRA frames it. We want gun responsibility. Liberals and pro-choice activists aren't gleeful baby killers. We believe that a woman has the right to control her own body, and be warned, we will call you out if you claim to be pro-life and are not actively working to advance child nutrition programs, daycare, free child and parent health care systems, and yes, contraception and general health services. If being pro-life means carrying a sign or demeaning women, you are not pro-life. You are callously pro-birth. Own it. We reject that your God, whichever God you claim, should play any part in the governance of this country at any level. America is not a Christian nation, but a country bound by secular law. Sorry, there is no war on Christmas. Have you been in a Walmart between October and January? Believing in God should never be a litmus test for morality. America is a nation of many faiths and values, all enjoying equal protection under secular law. Secular law. We reject teaching the controversy about evolution versus creation in public schools. Teach religion in church or at home or at private schools, but not with our tax dollars. The James Chambers Show rejects truthiness. We believe in science, not myth. Proof, not intangibles like faith or someone's subjective common sense. Now make no mistake, we will fight fiercely for your right to religious freedom and free exercise thereof. If you are a believer, can you say the same about someone else? We care about law and order. We care about the people who enforce the laws. Law enforcement is dangerous, challenging, and at times life-threatening work, and respect for law enforcement officers must be given when it is due, and that's more often than not. We also care when property is seized by inappropriate civil forfeiture. We care when officers violate people's civil rights. We care when ICE strips children from parents or parents from children. And we care when a cop goes unhinged and kills somebody without cause and then gets away with it. We care about accountability and become enraged when there is none. Unlike what Fox News, Newsmax, Sinclair, and Breitbart would like you to think, we commie, lefty, pinko wingnuts care deeply about this country. America is one of the finest countries in all of history. Our capacity for good far outweighs our penchant for selfishness. Americans are fundamentally decent and kind. America is built on a foundation of rebellion and protest and righteous indignation. And sadly, America is also built on a deeply shameful history of colonialism, slavery, abuse, oppression, and violence. To simply push that history aside, saying, I didn't do it, so don't blame me, only serves to offload your personal responsibility onto the back of another who is willing to shoulder that burden. Like alcoholism, the first step in recovery is admitting that you have a problem. Americans are too proud and too damn stubborn to admit that we have a problem. For too long, we have allowed the old wounds of slavery, racism, inequality, and fear to fester. And now, the hyper-nationalist scab has torn, flooding our streets and our airwaves with anger and frustration and purulent ideas. Healing those wounds will be a long and painful operation. And as of yet, America has not had enough courage to begin the procedure in earnest. So, here we are. The James Chambers Show can't save the world. We can damn sure talk about it, though. We can learn from each other and from a variety of guests, and we can bat ideas around and form new opinions. We can call bullshit when bullshit needs to be called, and we will. We can help organize. We can support and educate, and maybe build a metaphorical bridge or two. As always, thank you for listening. I'm your host, The Real MJC. Until next time, keep your eyes wide and your mind open. The James Chambers Show is a labor of love born from the need to feel connected to rational people with reasonable ideas from both sides of the aisle and to have some fun. We value you and your support. Feel free to leave a comment in the section below or contact the show and let us know how we're doing, or if there's a topic you want us to tackle. Reach out to realjcshow2017@gmail.com or tweet us at realjcshow. And thank you.